everyone, welcome back to the Bottle Raiders channel. My name is Danny, I hope you're having a good day today. I wanted to talk about Japanese whiskey today. 25 years ago, no one really spoke about Japanese whiskey outside of Japan the way they do now, but nowadays it's booming. Japanese whiskey wins loads of awards, it's supplied in many countries across the world, and Japanese whiskey actually has a really fascinating history behind it. So I thought I'll pour myself a dram of Hibiki Blossom Harmony and let's talk about it. There are two massive names when it comes to the founding of Japanese whiskey, and they are Shinjiro Torii and Masataka Takatsuro. In 1923, Torii founded Yamazaki, which was Japan's first malt distillery, and it was inspired by a European palate and pure water. He brought over Takatsuro from Scotland. He had been studying there in Speyside and Campbelltown, and he himself was also really interested in bringing Scotch whisky authenticity back to Japan, so that worked well to start with. Cheers! After a decade, Takatsuro left Yamazaki to forge his own path within the Japanese whiskey industry, and he founded Nikka in Hokkaido in 1934. He chose that climate for the smoky maritime feel that he adored from Scotland. Suddenly Japan had two distinctive whiskey visions. Eventually, Torii's company became Suntory and Takatsuro owned Nikka. Each company owned several whiskey distilleries and still do to this day. Suntory added Hakushu in 1973, Nikka built Miyagikyo near Sendai. Eventually Japan was offering all these styles of whiskey. There was smoky, there was maritime, there was sweet, all different styles. Something that sets a lot of the Japanese distilleries apart from Scotch is that most of them are vertically integrated, which means that they distill, age, blend and bottle everything on site in their own distillery, so there's total control and total control over the quality. Until this point, Japanese whiskey was still relatively unknown in the global whiskey scene, but then in 2001, Nikka's Yoichi 10-year-old won Best of the Best according to Whisky magazine, and this shocked the whiskey community globally because something like this had never really happened before with Japanese whiskey. Fast forward to 2015 and Yamazaki's Sherry Cask 2013 edition won Jim Murray's World Whiskey of the Year, which was also a really pivotal moment in bringing Japanese whiskey to the world stage. While demand was exploding, not everything labelled Japanese whiskey was actually Japanese whiskey. Some blenders were quietly blending in Scotch whiskey or Canadian whiskey and then bottling it over in Japan, slapping a label on that said Japanese whiskey and selling it as such. It definitely created confusion, especially when these bottles were sitting on the shelf next to, say, Yamazaki or Yoichi, and being sold at the same price. Quite honestly, it did taint Japanese whiskey's reputation. So in 2021, new industry standards were set, and to be called Japanese whiskey from now on, the liquid would have to be fermented, distilled, aged at least 3 years, and bottled in Japan using only Japanese water and grains. Big names like Suntory fully committed to these new rules by 2024, so all their whiskey is now Japanese whiskey. Nikka mostly adheres to this, although some of their whiskey still doesn't fall under Japanese whiskey as a category. That's because they import some whiskey from other places in the world for some of their blends. Enter the next wave. We've got all these indie Japanese distilleries now: Chichibu, Akeshi, Kanosuke, Shizuoka. Forgive me if I'm pronouncing any of those wrong. These tend to be small batch distilleries. They use local oak. They comply with the standards of Japanese whiskey from day one. In 2023, Suntory marked 100 years since Shinjiro Torii founded Yamazaki, and they released some special edition whiskies for that. There were some Yamazakis and Hakushus to celebrate, all with special edition packaging. And in 2024, Nikka marked its 90th anniversary with Nikka Frontier, which is a blend, I believe, some from Japan and some from Scotland, so it doesn't fall into the category of Japanese whiskey, but it's to mark a lovely occasion anyway. I think to me, the evolution of Japanese whiskey is such a mix of tradition but also innovation. It's a story of hard work and dedication, and I can totally see Japanese whiskey continuing in this trend and becoming more and more popular worldwide, with good reason. There are some fantastic Japanese whiskey bottles. I'd love to hear your recommendations for Japanese whiskey to try in the comments. I have tried a few, but you know me, I could always try some more. Anyway, I hope you have a good rest of your day. I'll see you on the next one. Follow for more.